Hello everybody, Sergeant Soldier here back with How to Rust, and today we are revisiting the double stacked walls base. Now, I did quite a few videos on this, and there was always the problem that this type of base had, which was the 3x3 with the squares going around it, where the squares are lined up with the base squares. There was a problem with the corners here, where you would put a wall down, like so, but you couldn't get the cross wall to go down. It wouldn't allow you to do it. So, I was hanging out with some new friends tonight. And these friends actually helped me discover quite a few different builds. And we actually stumbled upon this. Their names are Oscar the Viking and Bamaboo. So what ended up happening was we were doing a build and they incorporated the double stacked walls like this. And we started playing around with it and we realized that instead of doing the walls, you could actually do cross wall frames like so. And, oops, no, you go away. And what ends up actually happening is, because those are now crossed, we can actually take ourselves these double doors, like so, and you can actually cross the double doors. Check that out. No, go away. It's pretty cool. Now, is it as good as a wall? That's up to you to decide. One, I would definitely code lock these, without a doubt. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to shoot some rockets at it. And we're going to see what happens when we take out the walls on the outsides of these doors. Now, that being said, I will say this, you can see the corner of the door poking out right there. Actually, let's go ahead and upgrade this to sheet metal to make it a little bit more obvious. See it right there? It's poking out just a little bit. That one is sheet metal too. Well, the stone's kind of covering up now, but it is poking out a little bit. So we're going to see what happens now when we shoot rockets directly in the center of the two. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Get rid of all that. Check it out. No damage whatsoever to the doors. Now, I also didn't damage the foundations, but if the foundations are taken out, obviously the doors are going to go down. But that would happen anyway if there was actual walls in there. So really, it's just the same. Now, it's highly, highly expensive. It's really, really expensive to do this instead of walls. But if you're on a server where you have a lot of metal frags and you don't really care, it still might be a viable option to you. So I figured I would at least show that because I know a lot of you guys loved the design, but you all agreed with me about the weakness having this one spot here. So I figured I'd at least show that part and just be like, you know what, it's up to you if you want to use it. The second part, which is over here, is the top of the base. Now the top of the base, because of this gap, is, well, it's a massive weakness. You can basically shoot straight down if you wanted to and damage any of these walls. So, how do you correct that? Well, what we ended up doing was, one, we tried these stone barricades? Yeah, stone barricades. And if you sandwich them together real close, you can actually cover it up. Not really great, but also not really bad, I guess. Come on. There we go. They pack pretty tight, and if you put them all the way around, they could act as a barrier between you and the enemies and whatnot, and also hide this gap. But what if I told you that there was another way to do it? There is another way to do it. And my two friends and I actually figured this out tonight as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all these. And what I've also done is inside the base, I've put all these wall frames. That's basically just to act as support. This would be filled with your doorways, your regular walls, of course your pillars, everything you need to put in here to make sure that this top floor of the roof is actually stable. And this depends on this, by the way. So what we were able to do was take a floor, and notice how it won't go down, right? It's because of these walls here. If you plan ahead and do a little forward thinking, you could actually build out past the outer wall. Now, for some reason it's not going, right? Because of stability. If you put a triangle there instead, look at that. It locks up pretty tight. Now, once these walls, or not these walls, these ceilings are down, you can actually go back in and replace your walls like so. See? Check it out. Not too bad, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing over here. Actually, let's do it for this whole row. we'll do this whole row so I can show you what it looks like on at least one side of it. Like that and that. Upgrade all these. Alright. So now we go back in. Yes, I am flying. I'm an admin on this test server. It's a lot easier to do it while you're flying. If you can't fly and you have to do some kind of scaffolding or plan ahead and build it correctly, it'll make it a lot easier. So from here, sometimes you can get these to go. Awesome. So if you wanted to, you could do a whole lip along the outside, or you could leave these open as little shooting ports to shoot down. But from this point, really, on the inside here, this is all honeycombing. See, this is all squares. So if they look inside there, that's not a big deal. They're probably expecting honeycombing anyway. And it actually covers up this whole line right here. Now, if I get rid of this, I want to show you what happens in the corners. Come on, there we go. Now for the corners here, what ends up happening is you get this weird diamond shape. Don't worry about it. We can actually fix that. You could either use a concrete barricade or a couple stone barricades. I guess sand barricades would work too. And you could literally just place right over this thing. If you get it in the right spot, that is. Let's give that a try. It's not too bad. Probably could have found a better spot. Not too bad. Or we can do this. Yeah, that'll work. There's a lot of different things you could do to cover the corners up. However, you're looking at covering 4 corners, all 4 corners of the base, as opposed to trying to cover this whole line, including the corners, that goes all the way around. I think this is a drastic improvement for 1. And for 2, it does give you these little shooting corners or little parts of the roof that you can stand on to shoot down from. It does give you that as well. And it was something that you could have done before too. You could have just stuck a roof out here like that and done it. But it didn't actually serve a purpose like it does now. Now it's actually covering up part of the wall and giving us a little bit more cover. And hides our gap. So for those of you that like this whole double stacked wall base design, I figured I'd at least show both of these two things because they were both really big weaknesses to this base. And I'm one of those YouTubers where if I tell you a base design and I know what the weakness is, I'll tell you flat out, hey, this is great. This part, not so much. So at least you know going into it, the pros and cons. So that's pretty much all I have for this. I really don't spend a whole lot of time trying to tweak this stuff. But since the addition of the wall frames, a lot of stuff has changed. So I'm going back and looking at old things and seeing how we could tweak them with the wall frames and whatnot. And hopefully, if all goes well, we'll have some more stuff that used to work or had a couple flaws that are now fixed because of the door frames. Until they get fixed, which probably won't be that long from now because I'm putting videos out about it. So, Sergeant Solj, how to rust. And real quick, before I end this, I want to thank my 2 new friends, Oscar the Viking and Bamabo. Thank you so much, guys, for helping me with this stuff and doing a couple builds with me last night. I will have those builds out relatively soon, don't you worry. And we'll see you in the next How to Rust video. Bye-bye!